Right now at 10, we take a trip to Dodge County, which voted for President Trump in 2016 to get their opinion on the new impeachment inquiry.
And an East Side business owner watches in real time as his store is broken into and burglarized, what he's crediting for getting the suspect behind bars.
And it is a celebration tonight in Cincinnati. The Milwaukee Brewers locking up their second straight playoff berth.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for joining us tonight. The whistleblower who filed a complaint against President Trump has now tentatively agreed to testify before Congress.
Well, President Trump is slamming the complaint against him in his first press conference since House Democrats announced they're launching a formal impeachment inquiry against him. The complaint about the president's communications with Ukraine has been hand-delivered to lawmakers on Capitol Hill. It's giving them their first chance to see the classified report.
I found the allegations deeply disturbing. I also found them very credible. I can understand why the Inspector General found them credible.
Well, President Trump insists he did nothing wrong during his phone call with Ukraine's president, saying he fully supports transparency. Today, going after the person who filed the complaint and the inquiry filed against him.
As this conversation dominates national politics, people here in Wisconsin have mixed reactions. Amy Reed spoke with people in Dodge County about this today and joins us now to show us how they're taking the news.
Dodge County is one of the reddest counties we cover. In 2016, 62% of the vote went to President Trump, and in 2018, 62% also went to Scott Walker for governor. So how are these people, those who've stuck with the Republican Party through the midterms, taking news that the president could be impeached? We went to Beaver Dam to find out.
The playground isn't usually a hot spot for politics. Sally Jordan says she's too busy playing with her grandkids to get involved, but she calls herself a Republican through and through.
I think he's doing a good job. I know I've heard a lot of smack talk about him, but personally, that's just what it is, smack talk.
We told her about the impeachment inquiry Speaker Pelosi announced yesterday. She called it hogwash.
I personally don't think they're going to find anything. And he's going to run out his term, and who knows, might even get reelected for the next term.
Dennis Vince hopes not, but he didn't want Trump to begin with.
I am really embarrassed the way the United States is being run now. Terribly.
While walking laps at the watermark, he said he thinks he's with the majority of people, even if he couldn't say the same about the people in his town.
In my opinion, he's done way too much that's impeachable.
But he doesn't know that this will qualify. No one we talked to could be sure how this will play out, but Chris Buxton is ready for it to get worse.
No matter what happens, it's going to end up he said, she said, or them, us against them. So I really don't know if we're ever going to learn the truth or if things are going to make any kind of sense. That's going to just divide the country more, I think, for 2020.
Even though he thinks there's something to what the House is investigating, he worries Washington won't take care of it. It's a lot to bring up on his evening walk, but he says there seems to be no middle ground left. And if that's true, who's to say where we'll stand when this finishes?
Kind of watching a slow motion car wreck. Like, you can see stuff going to happen, but you're like, what do I do to change it?
This is just a snapshot. 3 people we found in Beaver Dam. The story can change depending on who you find and where you go, especially this early in the process when there's still a lot for us to learn.
Plenty of time to learn more.
Yes.
All right, Amy, thank you.
And former Governor Scott Walker also getting involved in this conversation today on Twitter. He wrote, quote, Democrats have been waiting for something to justify their desire to impeach President Trump since the day he took office. The former governor adding he knows how the president feels, comparing it to 2010 and the recall election here in Wisconsin. Now, the next steps in the impeachment process would go something like this. If the House were to decide to proceed, it would then go to a full vote in the House. A simple majority there would be all that's needed to advance. If that were to happen, the president would be impeached. It would then go to the Senate, which needs a supermajority 2/3 vote to remove the president from office. However, that is unlikely to happen in the Republican-controlled Senate.
Governor Tony Evers has declared a state of emergency for 3 northwestern Wisconsin counties following strong storms and a tornado last night. This is in Chippewa, Clark, and Dunn counties. The National Weather Service has given the tornado a preliminary rating of EF3, something that is very rare for this time of the year. Debris, downed power lines, and tree branches litter the ground in the town of Wheaton. At least 3 semi-trailers overturned along Wisconsin Highway 29. A few people suffered minor injuries as a result of the storms, according to local law enforcement. Well, we dodged that storm system last night. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti has our first alert forecast. Gary?
You know, Charlotte, sometimes you just can't let down your weather guard, even though storms in parts of the year just aren't normally expected. But we have had some strong tornadoes in the month of September. You have to go back to 2002, though, the last time you saw an EF3 tornado here in Wisconsin. The latest EF3 tornado this late in September, you have to go back to 1971. And the latest EF3 tornado in the year actually happened in the beginning of December back in 1970. So if the conditions are right, you can have severe weather at any time of year. Doppler track right now, quiet. It looks like there's precipitation over southern Wisconsin. Those are just false echoes. It's mostly moisture aloft. Precipitation yesterday was 1 to 2 inches where those storms fired up in far northern Wisconsin, but you can see the latest computer models are showing the heavier rain starting to shift south of us. Still have a threat for that for Thursday night into Friday. We'll keep a close eye on that. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. Both lanes of Highway 19 and Marshall are back open tonight. They were closed this afternoon after a car collided with a bicyclist. Happened about 4:30 at Hubble Street and East Main near the Little America Amusement Park. The road was closed in both directions for about 3 hours. We don't have any word at this point on any injuries. A bar and music venue on the Near East Side is closed tonight after an early morning burglary.
Madison police arrested 64-year-old David Arndt for criminal damage to property and burglary to a building. Rose Schmidt spoke with a business owner who says he got an alert that someone was actually trying to break in.
This is the latest crime that Madison police credit surveillance video for helping officers catch the person they believe is responsible. In this case, the owner of the Art Inn and Maria's Bar was able to monitor that video in real time. The recognizable neon hues are still lit up like a Christmas tree. But a sign outside Maria's on East Washington Avenue isn't. As the owner, John Chandler, has a few repairs to make. His building was broken into twice in 1 week, the first time being Sunday morning.
So I decided to get a camera installed Sunday, figuring the guy would come back, and sure enough, last night around 12:15, something like that, the phone gave me an alert.
John opened the app on his phone and says he was able to watch the burglar wander through the bar at Maria's and into the connected music venue, the Art Inn.
He went through the register, got a couple of bottles of liquor, smashed up the ATM, and then broke into the Parched Eagle next door as well.
He called Madison police, who set up a perimeter around the building just after midnight Wednesday. Officers arrested 64-year-old David Arndt, who they say tried to open up the business's ATM with a crowbar. Police say Arndt tried to run when he saw them, but they cornered him and brought him to jail.
The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. You know, it's just seeing somebody in your space that you know so well, and then there's somebody who shouldn't be there. It freaks you out at first.
John says he believes the same person broke in both days.
In my head, I just knew this guy was going to come back.
And he's glad his intuition led him to buy a camera to keep track of his business when he's not there.
It's just peace of mind for $200. And I mean, you know, to have that available is great.
The owner says there weren't any shows or events scheduled at the Art Inn tonight, so he closed just for tonight. So a door and the ATM could be repaired. But he says the venue will be back open tomorrow. Now, we did ask the owner if we could use that surveillance video, but he says he does not want to interfere with the ongoing police investigation into what happened here.
Police have arrested a 26-year-old man believed to be the suspect involved in a recent string of sexual assaults in downtown Madison. Luis Ruiz Ugalde was arrested Monday by the Violent Crimes Unit. He faces tentative charges of burglary, fourth-degree sexual assault, battery, and attempted second-degree sexual assault. Police say there could be more victims, but as of now, they have 4 reports on their record. The assaults occurred over a 7-day span. A driver involved in a fatal hit and run on Madison's north side has turned himself in to police. 60-year-old Daryl Sunderledge was hit crossing Northport Drive about 2 weeks ago. He died days later in the hospital. According to police, a traffic investigator was able to identify the driver after finding his SUV. That driver, 21-year-old Brandon Eiler, voluntarily came to the Madison Police Central District with his attorney yesterday. He faces tentative charges of hit and run involving death and operating while revoked, causing death.
A homeless man has pleaded guilty to starting a 117-year-old synagogue on fire earlier this month in Duluth. 36-year-old Matthew Amiot entered the plea yesterday on negligent fire charges. Authorities say he used a lighter to ignite a pile of combustible materials outside the main building. The complaint says Amiot admitted to starting that fire, told police he tried to spit on it to put it out, but walked away when that didn't work. Police do not believe it is any sort of hate crime. And new tonight, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is closing 2 handgun ranges it is deemed to be unsafe to the public. They're closing the ranges at the Columbia County and Yellowstone Lake facilities, both mandated by the DNR. They say those ranges were becoming degraded due to excessive use, and they'll likely be closed throughout the winter, and then it'll reopen if the DNR is confident in the safety of the changes to its design.
You may notice new playground equipment going up at parks across Madison. According to the city's budget, it spends about $1 million on those upgrades a year. City landscape architect Mike Sturm says that budget has been consistent since 2013 as part of an effort to replace about 120 of the 180 playgrounds in the system. This year, that includes Seago Park, recently completed, and Lucia Crest Park, with work still underway.
About inclusivity. It's really about making sure that all park users feel welcome and that they have opportunities to essentially play together. It's everyone from the younger children to the grandparents.
He says the service life of playgrounds is roughly 20 to 25 years, but they can be replaced sooner if an inspector deems it necessary to improve safety or accessibility.
The Boys and Girls Club of Dane County has received a $1 million pledge for its future Sun Prairie location. The new club will be named after donors John and Joellen McKenzie. The couple has supported college scholarships for members in the past. In total, the club needs to raise $2.9 million in order to open the Sun Prairie location on schedule in January. And still to come tonight, your forecast as we enter the second half of the work week, including more chances of rain.
And later, the magic number is now at 0. The Brewers clinch a playoff berth for a second straight year. The highlights and celebration coming up in sports.
Welcome back. A Rock County man is being commended for his life-saving efforts after he pulled a woman trying to jump from the Newark Bridge in the town of Beloit to safety.
Mike Tuttle says he noticed the woman while he was driving by and immediately turned around, parked his car, and helped her down. He says he's not a hero, but rather the woman was saved by her guardian angels.
She was awful close to falling or jumping, and I believe her guardian angels held her back. The Bible says that we all have guardian angels, and thank God for that.
Tuttle says he and his wife have been in contact with the woman's family and will continue to offer love and support.
A new climate change report from the United Nations is grim. More than 100 scientists put together the findings which say the impacts of climate change are increasing and inevitable. The report concluding that the planet cannot keep up with global warming. The oceans, which act as a sponge for CO2 emissions, are at capacity, threatening to swallow up islands and coastal cities. The report says failure to act soon will lead to a steady stream of catastrophes.
What is at stake is the health of ecosystems, wildlife, and importantly, the world we leave for our children.
One of the worst case predictions sees 1 billion people affected by the year 2050. Drought and famine are forecasted, along with more frequent and destructive storms.
Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us now with a look at our forecast.
You know, one thing that we did notice with the climate change is the possibility for more variability in heavy rain events and more frequent heavy rain events. And unfortunately, that's kind of what we have in the forecast over the next week or so. On Doppler track tonight, this looks like rain, but fortunately it's not. It's just moisture aloft. The cloud's not producing any precipitation. It will actually clear out later on tonight. The very latest computer model runs through for the rain from late tomorrow night through Friday, now pushing the heaviest rain farther south into northern Illinois and keeping very little rain from Madison northward. But this computer model has shifted back and forth over the last couple of days, and there's going to be a very sharp cutoff between very heavy rains of 1 inch or 2 and much lighter rains or very little rain to the north. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that because any additional rainfall down toward the Illinois state line could cause flooding. So we do have an alert day in the forecast for Friday for the potential for showers and thunderstorms that could produce locally heavy rains of 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Again, under most circumstances, that wouldn't be a big deal, but if it happens near the Illinois state line, that's where we could run into problems. Now, the longer range computer models, the GFS computer model, actually has about 1.5 inches of rain over southern Wisconsin. So again, you know, that one model is not for sure. And then it just adds on more rain as we head into next week with shower and thunderstorm periods from Sunday through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And when you total it all up, you come up with about 3 to 4 inches of rain over southern Wisconsin. The European computer model, again, has the heaviest rain farther south, just like the RPM model, although it does have about 1/2 inch or a little bit more here in Madison. But then again, it starts adding more rain as we head into next week, and you can see those amounts start to go up. And when all is said and done there, take a look at some of these totals. They start running into the 3 to 4 inch range. So because of that, we still have alert days in the forecast for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week for the possibility of heavier showers and thunderstorms with rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches or more in some of the thunderstorms, and even maybe a little threat for severe weather on Monday. Right now, the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, pretty quiet, not seeing any rain here. There has been some cloud cover, but that's starting to thin out. High today 75, so it's cooler than yesterday, but we're still 7 degrees above average. Low temperature is 63, and that's also our current temperature, although skies are still mostly cloudy. The dew point temperature at 48, so the air is pretty dry. High temperatures today, upper 60s to the middle 70s through Wisconsin, about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than yesterday. Right now, temperatures are already in the 40s in far northern Wisconsin, 50s in northern and central Wisconsin, and in the 60s here in the southern part of the state. But look at those dew point temperatures, mainly in the 40s, so the air very dry, even some 30-degree dew points up in parts of Minnesota. But the moisture is not that far to the south, and it'll be back here by tomorrow night with some shower and thunderstorm chances. So skies should turn mostly clear later on tonight. Low temperature will drop to 50, and then tomorrow we're looking for sunny skies. It'll be a little cooler, high temperature at 68 degrees. As we check out future track, that batch of clouds moving on out, skies clearing out overnight. Low temperatures dropping to around 50. High temperatures tomorrow topping out in the upper 60s with plenty of sunshine. Clouds start moving in tomorrow night along with some shower and thunderstorm chances. Remains to be seen how widespread they'll be, but they'll continue through the day on Friday with high temperatures in the upper 60s. Again, the very latest computer model runs show the heaviest rains down near the Illinois state line, much lesser amounts from Madison northward, but it'll be a close call. After that, a dry day Saturday, and then shower and thunderstorm chances really start to pick up from Sunday into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. That's why we have the alert days there. after the rain ends, temperatures turn fall-like, highs in the upper 50s by Thursday and Friday of next week.
That is fall.
It is.
All right, thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Gary. And the Brewers get to party tonight in Cincinnati, but hey, they're saying there's still some work to do. Stick around. Sports is next.
The Brewers had a chance to clinch a playoff spot with a win over the Reds or losses from the Cubs and Mets. Now, the Crew hunting down the Cardinals in the division, and they decided to just take care of it themselves tonight. And you kind of felt it in the air, especially early. Ryan Braun feasts on Reds pitching at Great American Ballpark. Bases loaded in the first. His 28th career home run here is a grand slam and a 4-0 lead for the Brewers. 2 pitches later, Eric Thames leaving his 24th. This one was never a game. The Brewers win it 9-2. They get a well-deserved champagne shower in the clubhouse and head to the postseason for the 2nd straight season.
Tonight we celebrate, but there's still a lot to accomplish. I mean, obviously, the division is still within reach, and I think at least trying to get home field for the wild card game is something that remains a priority. So we celebrate tonight, but we got to move on quickly and continue to try to win more games.
The best thing about this run, it was somebody different every night. Somebody who's stepping up. You know, whether it was starting pitcher, a guy out of the bullpen, somebody in the lineup, and we were just able to string a lot of really good games together, and we're going to have to continue to do that.
The Brewers trying to chase down the Cardinals in the division, who played 7 hours in the desert last night. This afternoon, Randy Arozarena puts the Cardinals up 5-2. But Arizona comes all the way back. Wilmer Flores on a line. That makes it 9-5 Snakes. They hang on to win 9-7, so the Cardinals' lead is a game and a half over the Brewers. The Packers' defense has been stealing the show for Green Bay through their first 3 games, forcing a league-high 8 turnovers, 4 fumbles, 4 picks. And the offense has done its part in the give and take category, coughing up just 2 fumbles and no interceptions through the 3-0 start. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers says there's still work to do on offense, but despite a new coach and a new system, the first rule is always protect the pigskin.
We take care of the football. We're smart with our decision making. We carry the football the right way, most of us. Sometimes I get a little loose with it, but we've done a good job over the years taking care of the football, and now obviously our defense, I think they've forced 8 turnovers through 3 games. That's put us in a really good position.
Wisconsin quarterback Jack Cohn got his first career start last year against Northwestern. That's who the Badgers host this weekend. Now, Cohn said he was pumped last season and learned a lot despite losing to the Wildcats. He says last year's game was just one step in his continued learning process.
Well, I'd say a lot of it was just me growing with the offense and, just trusting my eyes and trusting my feet. Like when something's there, cut it loose. When it's not, get through it and just trying to be myself.
The Badgers and Wildcats will go old school with the uniform Saturday. Under Armour doing the honors for both schools. They looked at a late 1800s picture of Wisconsin football for inspiration. Jonathan Taylor approves. He also had a Brewers jersey on tonight, so he's feeling good all around. He said, if you can pull it off, you can do it right. I like it for the one-game thing. One more break and we're back.
Finally tonight, 9 teams of masons and laborers competed in Menasha today to determine who was the best of the best at bricklaying.
It was the 2019 Spec Mix Bricklayer 500 Wisconsin Regional Competition. Teams come together to try and build the biggest wall with the least amount of errors possible. Organizers say while the task may seem simple, it's actually a tall order to fill.
When it comes down to the accuracy and the consistency, the amount of brick that the masons are laying right now is the equivalent of what they'll lay in an entire day. And they're going to do it in 1 hour.
The winners of today's competition are from a Wausau company. They'll go on to compete at the national tournament in Las Vegas in January.
I totally thought that was going to be a basketball story about bricklaying on a video. Gary, final check of the forecast.
Well, it's pretty quiet out there right now. Temperatures are in the upper 60s or lower 60s. Dew point temperatures are in the lower or upper 40s, so they are pretty dry. Nice day tomorrow, but showers and thunderstorms Friday. Could have some heavy rain there. And then next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, bear watching as well.
Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.